dear students, welcome to the series on mathematics. Today we are going to look at coordinates that you will study at level of grade 10. Of course, if you study at grade 10, means you need it at grade 11. So, from primary school, you have been informed about the axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. Right? You have been informed that usually a point is described by its x-coordinate and its y-coordinate. So, for example, here, if x is minus 2 and y is minus 4, then this point A would be minus 2, the x-coordinate, and then minus 4. I know that you're aware of the coordinates. Now, the first thing we're going to look at would be equation of a line. If I ask you the question, what is the form of equation of a line? I think everybody is aware. Y is equal to mx plus c because you studied that at the level of grade 9. The question that I'm going to ask you, what does the y represent? What does the x represent here? For example, if I had y is equal to 2x plus 5, what does the y and the x represent in the equation of line? In fact, the y means y-coordinate on this line is equal to 2 times its x-coordinate plus 5. So the y is the y-coordinate of the point on the line. The x is the x-coordinate. In fact, we ought to have written the equation of a line as y-coordinate is equal to 2 times x-coordinate plus 5. Now, the question is, this is the equation of the line y is equal to 2x plus 5. If I take x to be 1, can you tell me what is y? What will be its y-coordinate? Its y-coordinate will be equal to what? 2 times its x-coordinate plus 5, which is 7. So, if I give you the x-coordinate, you can easily know what will be the y-coordinate. Again, will the point x equal to 1, y is equal to 8 lie on the line? No, it will not. So, the equation of a line is an equation that connects the y-coordinate of any point to its x-coordinates. That's the equation of a line. I know you know how to write equation of a line, but here the emphasis is on the interpretation of what the equation of the line is. What does the y represent? Now, what does the m represent? What does the m represent in the equation of line? We have seen the y and the x are the x-coordinate of the points on the line. What does the m represent? M is the gradient of the line. It's a measure of the inclination. A horizontal line will have gradient 0. A vertical line will have gradient infinite. If I increase the inclination, M1, M2. As I increase the inclination, the gradient increases. All right? Now, when we move from left to right, lines in this direction will have positive gradient, whereas these lines will have negative gradient. Now, how do we recognize that? As we move from left to right, the y-coordinates are increasing. Here, as we move from left to right, the y-coordinates are decreasing, so negative gradient. How do I find the gradient now? I want you to understand what each term represents first before we go and calculate. How do you calculate the gradient of the line? One way to calculate gradient of line is to take 2 points on the line, which I can call x1, y1, x2, y2. Of course, how many points are there on the line? Infinite. There are infinite number of points. How many you need to calculate the gradient? Only 2. What is the formula for the gradient of the line? Difference in the y-coordinate over difference in the x-coordinates. That's the gradient of the line. Of course, if I've taken y2 minus y1, I've taken x2 minus x1. Or I could have taken y1 minus y2, but in that case I would have to take x1 minus x2. That's the gradient of a line. Let's take this example. One of the points was x equal to 1, y is equal to 7. Let's take another point, x equal to 3, y is equal to 11. I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. So, what is the gradient here? The gradient will be 11, y2 is 11, minus y1, 7. So y2 is 11, minus y1, 7, divided by 3, x2, 3, x1, 1. So 11 minus 7, 4, 3 minus 1, 2, so this gives me 2. Of course, I could have taken the other way, that is y1 minus y2, 7 minus 11, and then x1 minus x2, 1 minus 3. 7 minus 11 minus 4 over minus 2, which is 2. So, this is the gradient, gradient 2. It is positive. Since it is positive, I know that this is the way the line will look like, gradient 2. Now, what is the C in the equation of line? C is in fact called the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? the line cuts y-axis at the point x equal to 0, y is equal to c. So, this is the point where the line is going to cut y-axis. This value will be c. That is here, x equal to 0, y equal to c. Right? So, what is equation of a line? Y is equal to mx plus c. What it is actually? It is an equation that connects the y coordinates to its x coordinate. As I told you, we should have written y coordinate is equal to 2 times x coordinate plus c. Right? What is gradient of line? Measure of the slope or the inclination. What is c in the equation? It is the point where the line is going to cross the y-axis. How to find c? We found the gradient. The gradient is 2. So y is equal to mx plus c. We have to find c. What is c? C is, if I transfer this term on this other side, y minus mx. So what I'm going to do to find c, I'm going to take a point on the line. I can take x equal to 1, y is equal to 7. So I'm going to replace x by 1 and y by 7. So it is 7. And of course the m was 2. 2 times 1. So 7 minus 2, 5. Y is equal to 2x plus 5. So to find the gradient, to find m, we saw the formula. M is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or y1 minus y2, x1 minus x2. And what is c? Y minus mx. So we use a known y coordinate. For example, I can use x1 and y1 to find c. So this is how we write equation of a line. Now, the distance between two points, or length of a line segment. Suppose that I have 2 points, A and B. AB is a line segment. I ask you, what is the length of the line segment? So we use the coordinates of the 2 points to find the length. Let us say that coordinates of A is x1, y1, that of B is x2, y2. So the distance between A and B is given by x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Let's take an example. Suppose that I have a point 1, 2 here. Point A is 1, 2. Point B, we have the coordinates 4, 6. What I'm going to do, label this as x1, y1, x2, y2. Of course, common question, could I have said this to be x1, y1 and this one to be x2, y2? Yes, you can. There's no problem. So, what is the length of AB here? Let's do it together. First, x2. What is x2? 4. What is x1? x2 minus, so I write minus. What is x1? 1. And then squared. Plus, bracket, what is y2? 6. Minus y1, which is 2 to the squared. So this gives me 4 minus 1 to the squared, which is 3 to the squared. 6 minus 2 to the squared, which is 4 to the squared. 9 plus 16, which gives us 25, which is 5 units. The length of AB is 5 units. I want you to try it the other way. That is, to call this to be x1, y1, and this to be x2, y2, and then show yourself that you do get the 5 units. Now, the next part we are going to look at would be the midpoint. Suppose that you have, again, a line segment, AB. Again, I'm going to call A to have coordinate x1, y1, and B to have coordinate x2, y2. So, what is the midpoint? Midpoint of AB, that I'm going to label it as M. What is the midpoint of AB? X1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. We'll take an example. If A is 1, 2, and we take B to be 5, 6. I will label this to be x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember, I'm after the coordinates of the midpoint M. What is the formula to find M? X1, which is 1, plus x2. What is x2 here? 5 divided by 2. Y1, which is 2, plus y2, which is 6, divided by 2. So, this gives us 1 plus 5, 6 divided by 2, 3. 2 plus 6, 8 divided by 2, 4. 3, 4. That's the coordinates of the midpoint. So, here we have looked at two formula. The distance AB is given by x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, square root. And then the midpoint is given by x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. So, if we summarize what we have studied today, if we have 2 points A and B, then first we can find the gradient of the line. What's the formula to find gradient of the line? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or which can be also written as y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. We can find C. How do I find C? C is y is equal to y minus mx, right? And I can use any one of the points on the line. y1, I replace y by y1 and x by x1. Hence, I can write equation of line. Y is equal to mx plus c. So, I can find gradient, I can find the y-intercept. Remember, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is the value, right, of y where the line cuts y-axis. And then we also found what is the length of AB, or the distance AB. The distance AB is x2 minus x1 squared, y2 minus y1 squared. And then the midpoint of AB which is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. It's quite common that you have one question which asks you to do all these steps. So you must remember these formulae, and all those doing additional maths would go a few steps further in calculating other quantities. So, I wish you enjoyed this unit on coordinates, especially on equation of line, on the interpretation of what the equation of the line is, what x represents, what y represents, what is the gradient, and how to calculate the distance between 2 points, the midpoint of the line segment. So, on this note, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and until next time, it's goodbye from us.